Let's talk about the Garden of Eden for a second because people read that story, but they don't always process it. In the garden, there was one tree they wasn't supposed to eat from. Just one. Not thousands, not even 100. Just one. But today, temptation is everywhere. Walk down almost any block, you'll see liquor stores, smoke shops, addictions, endless distractions, endless temptations. So it makes me wonder something. Was the serpent just tempting Eve, or was the serpent revealing the moment humanity had the power of choice? Because when you really slow down and look at that story, the garden wasn't a place of lack. It wasn't starvation either. The garden had everything: food, beauty, life, connection, peace. But right in the middle of that goodness, there was one thing that represented the ability to choose different. And then the serpent shows up. Now, people always paint the serpent like the villain, but let's slow down and really think about this. The serpent introduced an idea. The idea that you don't have to stay aligned. You can step outside alignment to see what happens. And that moment right there is when humanity becomes aware. Aware of good, aware of evil, and yes, aware of consequences. Before that moment, life in the garden was innocent. But innocence is different from understanding, because understanding only comes through experience. And that's something people don't talk about. If God created humanity with the ability to choose, then choice automatically means the possibility of choosing wrong. Because, well, not because God wants evil, but because real love requires freedom. If someone had no ability to choose something else, then choosing love wouldn't mean anything. It would just be programming. And humanity was not created to be robots. We are co-creators. Humanity was created to experience creation. And in experience, there's opportunity for learning. You can discover the difference between harmony and chaos. Look at the world today. We see the consequences of misalignment everywhere. There is violence, greed, systems that exploit people, addictions, distractions. The same way the garden had one apple tree, today it feels like there are 1,000. Look around. There is temptation everywhere. But here's the deeper point. The story of the garden is just not about the past. It's about every single day of your life. Every day you wake up, there is a garden. There is goodness. There is life. And there is a tree that represents the ability to step out of alignment. And the serpent still whispers the same idea. You don't have to stay aligned. And technically, it's true. You don't have to. But that's what free will means. Free will also means something else powerful. It means you can also choose alignment again. You can choose love again. You can choose truth again. You can choose compassion again. Even after mistakes, even after falling, even after being surrounded by a world full of distractions. Of course, you can choose alignment with your higher self. This world didn't come with a clear instruction manual. You can leave or scroll the video right here, but I'm about to go deeper. So if you want, stay with me. In Genesis 2, verse 9, it says, the tree of life in the middle of the garden and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So right there, we know something important. There are two trees in the center of the garden, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But Adam and Eve were only told not to eat from one of them, which is the tree of knowledge. And honestly, that sounds a lot like raising kids. You ever tell a child, don't touch the stove, don't touch the iron, don't touch that figurine on the table, and they do it? They touch it anyway. Something inside of them says, just touch it. That little voice, that curiosity, that pull towards the thing you were told not to do. So the way I see it, yeah. The serpent is not just a snake crawling on his belly. The serpent is distortion. It's that inner whisper, that twist, that thing that you already know that God already said. God's voice brings alignment, peace, truth, love. The serpent voice brings distortion, like doubt, illusion, fear. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't create anything new. It just makes you question what you already know. Look at Genesis 3, verse 1. The serpent didn't bring any new knowledge. It asked the question, did God really say? That's distortion. The serpent didn't create truth. It twisted it. And honestly, when I talk with God in meditation, I think about this a lot, because if we're really trying to grow, we have to understand what we're up against. Not just on the outside of us, but on the inside. Because sometimes the biggest battle in life is realizing you can be your own worst enemy. The serpent wasn't chosen randomly either. Across ancient cultures, serpents symbolize something specific, like cunning, trickery, hidden danger. Think about how a serpent moves. It slithers quietly. It strikes suddenly. It coils around things you didn't even see coming. Distorted thoughts work the same way. They slither quietly into your mind. They strike suddenly with doubt, fear, or temptation. They coil around the truth, squeezing it until truth starts to feel distorted. So when the writers of Genesis called the distortion the serpent, they were giving form to something invisible. They took temptation, they took twisted thoughts, and they gave it a face, which was a serpent. But here's the deepest part of the story. Change had to come with duality, because if all you ever had was ease, there will be no growth. Growth happens when you feel the pull of two voices, spirit and flesh. Your spirit says, wait on God. Trust God's timing. Your flesh says, do it now. even if it hurts you later. Your spirit says, choose peace, walk away. Your flesh says, ignore the red flags. Do what feels good right now. That inner conflict, that's the battle. And the Bible talks about it directly in Romans 7:23. However you say it. 7 verse 7:23. Another law is at work in me, waging war against the law of the mind. That war inside you, that tug of war between what feels good now and what actually feels right, that's part of being human. But it's also proof of something powerful. Growth is designed into the system because growth only happens when you feel both voices and still choose alignment. Still choose truth. Still choose love. Still choose spirit over flesh. To me, this is one of the deepest lessons hiding in the garden story. The serpent isn't just out here somewhere. Sometimes the serpent is the distorted thoughts trying to twist the truth inside your own mind. And every day you wake up breathing, you're standing in the same moment Adam and Eve faced. Two voices, two directions, one powerful choice. Which one are you going to follow?